My name is Liliana Panetescu, and today we will enter the fascinating world of technical crops. Technical plants represent a special category in agriculture because they are not grown primarily for food, but for their industrial and economic importance. Tobacco and hops are two of the most relevant examples, with a long history and a strong global, European, and national impact. They have supported major industries, from tobacco used in smoking products to hops essential in brewing, and have significantly contributed to international trade and the diversification of agricultural production. Looking at global trends, tobacco production has slightly declined in recent years, while hop cultivation remains stable and even shows signs of growth, largely due to the rising demand from the craft beer industry. Although Romania is not among the top European producers today, it still has a tradition in both crops and continues to look for ways to regain its position on the market. This broader context shows why technical crops remain strategically important and why they deserve to be studied not only from a biological point of view, but also from a technological and industrial perspective. Each plant has its own biological story, and knowing these details is what allows farmers to move from average yields to high quality and consistent production. Tobacco, being a thermophilic plant from the Solanaceae family, requires warmth, light, and soils that are well drained and rich in humus. Balanced fertilization, particularly with nitrogen and potassium, directly influences both leaf growth and nicotine content, meaning that the farmer has a direct influence on the final product quality. Tobacco is also sensitive in its early stages, requiring weed control and specific practices such as topping and suckering, which redirect resources to the leaves, the valuable economic organ. Hops, on the other hand, from the Cannabaceae family, are perennial climbing plants that can reach 6 to 8 meters in just a few weeks. This growth demands trellis systems and careful training of the shoots for optimal light and air circulation. The real value of hops lies in the cones, rich in bitter resins and essential oils that shape beer's taste and aroma. Choosing the right variety, ensuring deep fertile soils, and providing precise irrigation during cone development are all essential to achieving both yield and quality. In both cases, success is not just a matter of tradition but of science applied with precision, biology and technology working together in the farmer's favor. The harvest of technical plants is never just a result of luck. It is the outcome of carefully managed biological and technological factors that the farmer must control. In tobacco, the economic product is the leaf. Its quality is influenced by early development, when the plant builds its leaf architecture. The number of leaves, their size, thickness, and nicotine content all depend on both genetics and environment, nutrition, irrigation, planting density, and specific interventions. Productivity is therefore measured in terms of the number of leaves per plant, the individual leaf mass, the chemical composition, and the percentage of leaves that meet industrial standards. For this reason, practices such as topping, removing the flower head, and suckering, eliminating side shoots, are essential. They are not mechanical tasks but strategic interventions, channeling the plant's resources into the leaves and improving both yield and quality. In hops, productivity is expressed through the number of shoots, the weight of cones, and the concentration of bitter acids and oils. Since hops are perennial, renewal pruning is critical to maintain vigorous annual shoots. The harvest is measured not only in weight but also in its chemical profile, which determines brewing quality. The principle is the same for both plants. Yield is built step by step, from the choice of variety through optimal agronomic conditions to the precise timing of harvest. The farmer's role is like that of a conductor, coordinating growth and interventions so that the final product achieves its highest potential. Today, tobacco and hops are cultivated on all continents, but their distribution differs greatly. Some countries dedicate vast areas, while others keep production limited. In Romania, the cultivated area and yields of tobacco have changed significantly over time. For example, data show that production per hectare has often remained below the international average, reflecting challenges in technology and market adaptation. Hops have faced similar issues. While countries like Germany, the Czech Republic, and Poland dominate European production, Romania has seen a decline in hop growing areas in recent decades. Yet interest is being revived thanks to the craft beer movement and new opportunities in exports. Both crops illustrate how agricultural tradition interacts with modern industrial demand. Even if Romania is not among the top global producers, it has favorable conditions for cultivation, a strong knowledge base, and the potential to reconnect with value chains if modernization continues. This context sets the stage for a closer look at tobacco, one of the most complex and economically significant technical plants. Tobacco belongs to the botanical family Solanaceae and to the genus Nicotiana. Although the genus includes around 60 species, only two of them hold true agricultural importance: Nicotiana tabacum and Nicotiana rustica. Nicotiana tabacum is the species most commonly cultivated worldwide. It has tall, upright stems and large leaves that are attached directly to the stem without a petiole. This species is the foundation of the modern tobacco industry and is also widely cultivated in Romania. Nicotiana rustica, by contrast, has a very different appearance and origin. Commonly known as Majorca or Majorca, this species comes from Mexico and Central America. It has strongly branched stems and larger leaves that grow on petioles. However, the most remarkable feature of Nicotiana rustica is its extremely high nicotine content, which ranges between 8 and 15%. By comparison, Nicotiana tabacum contains between 0.3 and 5% nicotine. Because of this very high concentration, Nicotiana rustica is used mainly in traditional or ceremonial products rather than in mainstream industrial tobacco. These two species have provided the genetic foundation for the numerous cultivated varieties that exist today. Over time, people have selected and improved tobacco plants through hybridization and careful breeding. As a result, there are several major commercial types, each adapted to specific technological uses and industrial demands. Oriental tobaccos produce small, very aromatic leaves with a naturally low nicotine content. They are valued for their delicate fragrance and elasticity. Semi-oriental tobaccos combine features of the oriental types with slightly larger leaves and greater adaptability to different climates. Virginia tobaccos develop large golden leaves and are known for their balanced quality and generous yields. Burley tobaccos produce very large leaves with an excellent capacity for absorbing flavors, making them especially important for cigar and cigarette blends. High-consumption tobaccos are grown mainly for large-scale industrial use where yield and consistency are essential. The existence of all these types demonstrates how tobacco has been shaped not only by its natural evolution, but also by centuries of human intervention. Farmers and breeders have constantly selected plants with desirable traits: better aroma, improved elasticity, higher resistance to diseases, or a more controlled nicotine level. In this way, tobacco has become a plant refined by human needs, adapted to industry, and deeply connected to the technological and cultural demands of different societies. Today, the diversity of tobacco reflects a long history of interaction between biology, agriculture, and industry. It shows how a single plant can be transformed into multiple production types, each meeting specific requirements and contributing to the development of significant economic sectors. Tobacco is a demanding plant that requires very specific environmental conditions in order to reach its full potential. It thrives in warm climates with long periods of sunlight and moderate rainfall. Too much water can negatively affect the quality of the leaves, while drought stress reduces growth and leaf expansion. Therefore, an even distribution of rainfall during the growing season is ideal. The plant prefers soils that are light to medium in texture, well drained and rich in organic matter. Sandy loam soils are particularly suitable because they allow the roots to develop freely and ensure good aeration. Heavy clay soils or poorly drained lands are avoided as they reduce leaf quality and make harvesting more difficult. The pH of the soil should be close to neutral. Extremely acidic or extremely alkaline soils can limit nutrient uptake and affect the chemical composition of the leaves. These environmental preferences show that tobacco is not simply grown anywhere. It requires a well-chosen site and careful land preparation, which greatly influence both the quantity and quality of the final product. The cultivation of tobacco follows a carefully structured technological sequence, refined over many decades. The process usually begins with producing seedlings in specially prepared nurseries. Tobacco plants are sensitive, and starting them in controlled environments helps ensure uniform emergence and healthy early growth. Once the seedlings reach an adequate size, they are transplanted to the field. Proper spacing is essential, as it allows each plant enough room to develop large leaves, which represent the primary economic output. Throughout the growing season, several maintenance operations are required: weed control, soil loosening, irrigation when needed, and fertilization tailored to the needs of the variety being grown. Fertilization is a key component of the production system. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium must be provided in balanced amounts. Too much nitrogen, for example, can result in leaves that are excessively thick or harsh, while low potassium levels reduce elasticity and affect curing quality. Another important step is topping, the removal of the flower head. This practice directs the plant's energy toward leaf development rather than seed production, improving both size and chemical composition. Harvesting tobacco is an operation that requires both skill and attention. Leaves are not taken all at once. Instead, they are picked gradually, beginning with the lower leaves and progressing upward as they mature. Each position on the plant produces leaves with different characteristics, so timing is crucial. After harvesting, the leaves undergo curing, a slow, controlled drying process that determines their color, aroma, and final quality. Depending on the type of tobacco, different curing systems are used: air curing, flue curing, sun curing, or fire curing. Each method influences the chemical composition, especially the nicotine and sugar levels, and creates the specific properties required by the industry. The curing process is one of the most delicate stages. Temperature, ventilation, and humidity must be carefully managed to prevent mold, uneven drying, or loss of color. A well-cured leaf is flexible, evenly colored, and has the distinctive aroma that characterizes its commercial type. Once tobacco leaves have matured in the field, their industrial life begins. Traditionally, tobacco has been linked to the smoking industry. After drying, fermentation, and blending, leaves are used for cigarettes, cigars, pipes, and rolling tobacco. Each type of tobacco has a role. Oriental leaves provide aroma, Virginia gives color and sweetness, and burley contributes body and strength. These blends form the backbone of the global tobacco industry, but in recent decades, new industrial uses have emerged. Heat-not-burn products, snuff, and nicotine liquids for electronic cigarettes have created entirely new markets. These require sophisticated extraction and purification processes to isolate active compounds, especially nicotine. Pharmaceutical research has also turned to tobacco. Alkaloids and secondary metabolites are being studied for neurological, anti-inflammatory, and vascular applications. Cosmetics and perfumery value the complex aromas of fermented tobacco, especially oriental types, which contribute deep, smoky, and balsamic notes to high-end fragrances. Beyond this, the bioeconomy sector uses tobacco byproducts for biomaterials, biodegradable packaging, and even composites for construction. In organic farming, nicotine-rich extracts are applied as natural insecticides and experimental biofungicides. There are even clinical trials exploring tiny doses of nicotine in food supplements for appetite control. All of this shows that tobacco is far more than a plant for smoking. It is a versatile industrial resource, adaptable to diverse sectors from health to biochemistry and design. Tobacco production in Europe and Romania has declined steadily due to reduced subsidies, stricter regulations, and shifting consumer habits. Many local farmers face difficulties marketing their harvests, especially after the closure of large processing plants and the rise of imports. Yet, at the same time, scientific research is uncovering new opportunities. One major debate is whether breeding should aim for higher alkaloid content, valuable for extraction, or lower nicotine levels, more suitable for smoking alternatives. This reflects a deeper question. Should tobacco continue to serve the traditional smoking market or redefine itself within the bioeconomy? European regulations banning additives have already forced farmers to adapt, as classic varieties like Burley and Oriental relied on specific curing methods to develop aroma. Now they must innovate or risk losing competitiveness. Meanwhile, the rapid growth of vaping and heat-not-burn products has created demand for leaves with controlled nicotine, strong cellular structure, and resistance to repeated processing. This is pushing tobacco cultivation toward a more industrialized model. Environmental concerns are also shaping the debate. Sustainable fertilization, disease-resistant varieties, and organic practices are increasingly promoted. Farmers are under pressure to produce tobacco with lower ecological impact while still meeting industrial quality standards. In summary, tobacco stands at a crossroads, caught between a declining smoking industry and a future in biotechnology, pharmaceuticals, and sustainable farming systems. Its reinvention is both a challenge and an opportunity. Hops, classified as Humulus lupulus, belong to the Cannabaceae family. Unlike tobacco, hops are perennial dioecious climbing plants, meaning that male and female flowers are on separate plants. Only the female plants produce cones, which are harvested for brewing. These cones are packed with bitter acids, essential oils, and tannins, which define beer's bitterness, aroma, foam stability, and shelf life. Alpha acids like humulone provide bitterness and act as natural preservatives. Volatile oils create floral, citrus, or spicy aromas, though some of these evaporate during brewing. Romania has several traditional hop varieties, including Aroma, Nugget RO, and Smarald, each suited for different brewing needs, from balanced lagers to craft beers with bold flavors. Hop cultivation requires careful infrastructure. Plants grow on tall trellises and must be regularly pruned and trained upward. Irrigation and moderate fertilization are critical, especially during cone development. Propagation is typically done by cuttings rather than seeds, ensuring uniformity and consistent cone quality. The crop cycle lasts 100 to 170 days, with cone maturity occurring within just a few weeks. However, pollination reduces quality, so only female plants are grown commercially. This makes hops not only a fascinating biological plant, but also an irreplaceable industrial crop, anchoring one of the world's oldest and most popular beverages, beer. Although most people think of hops purely in terms of beer, their industrial uses extend much further. In brewing, harvested cones are rarely used directly today. Instead, they are processed into standardized products that fit modern technology. The main products include hop pellets, which are compact and easy to dose, CO2 extracts, which provide high purity bitter acids and oils, and isomerized extracts, which deliver consistent bitterness and are often added late in the brewing process. For large breweries, these processed forms are essential, ensuring uniform flavor and efficient automation, but craft brewers sometimes prefer whole cones or rare varieties, preserving traditional aromas and unique sensory qualities. Outside the beer industry, hop extracts are valuable in nutraceuticals and herbal medicine, often used for their calming, sedative effects. Cosmetics companies incorporate hop extracts for their antimicrobial and skin-soothing properties. Pharmaceutical research is investigating bioactive compounds in hops for potential health benefits. Even residues after extraction are not wasted. They can be recycled for energy or compost, contributing to circular economy principles. Thus, hops, like tobacco, illustrate how technical plants serve as a bridge between agriculture and advanced industry, creating products that go far beyond their original agricultural form. The hop industry has been reshaped by changes in brewing and global markets. One clear trend is the shift from whole cones to processed products like pellets and extracts, driven by the need for consistency and efficiency in large-scale brewing. This trend, however, has sparked debates between industrial producers and craft brewers, who prize sensory quality over efficiency. Climate change is another major challenge. Hops are sensitive to drought and temperature fluctuations, making breeders search for more resilient varieties. At the same time, genetic improvement raises cultural and ethical concerns, as traditional aroma profiles risk being lost. Expansion into non-beer sectors, such as pharmaceuticals and cosmetics, is promising but faces regulatory and standardization hurdles. Without clear guidelines, industrial scaling is limited. Romania illustrates another problem. Despite good cultivation potential, the lack of modern processing units means raw hops are exported cheaply and then re-imported as expensive processed products. This reduces the competitiveness of local growers. The hop sector therefore stands at a point similar to tobacco, balancing tradition with innovation, meeting industrial efficiency while preserving diversity, and adapting to environmental and economic pressures. Tobacco and hops are not ordinary crops. They represent a link between farming and major industries, shaping entire economic chains. Tobacco, as a thermophilic solanaceae, requires precise management to develop leaves with the right chemical balance, especially nicotine, which determines its quality and end use. Hops, as perennial Cannabaceae, require trellises, fertile soils, and careful irrigation, producing cones rich in acids and oils vital for brewing and other industries. In Romania, both crops continue to be cultivated, though on smaller scales than in the past. The potential remains high, provided that modernization and industrial integration are strengthened. Their versatility is striking. Tobacco now finds uses in pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, organic farming, and bioenergy, while hops are expanding into nutraceuticals and health applications beyond beer. The lesson is that knowledge of plant biology, adapted technology, and industrial processing are the keys to managing these crops professionally and sustainably. Both tobacco and hops have the capacity to reinvent themselves within the framework of the modern bioeconomy. In conclusion, the story of technical crops like tobacco and hops is one of adaptation and transformation. Both are rooted in long agricultural traditions, but are now being redefined by global markets, regulations, and innovation. Tobacco is moving beyond its role in smoking, gaining ground in pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, and bio-based industries. Hops are no longer limited to beer, expanding into wellness and health-related products. The main trends are clear: diversification of industrial uses, demand for higher quality and consistency, and the growing importance of sustainability. Farmers and researchers must work together to breed varieties adapted to climate change, to develop environmentally friendly cultivation methods, and to connect with modern processing chains. For Romania, the challenge is to capitalize on favorable natural conditions and tradition, while investing in processing and integration into international markets. Ultimately, tobacco and hops demonstrate how agriculture can evolve from traditional practices into a science-based, innovation-driven sector. Their future lies not just in the field, but also in laboratories, factories, and global markets, where adaptability and sustainability will decide their long-term relevance.